Hello, and welcome back. It's another Tuesday and another YouTube video. Today I want to speak about what we've learned and the lessons we've gathered from selling over 5 billion in sales on e-commerce and Amazon specifically. My name is Yanni, I'm a 7-figure e-commerce seller and also have a full-service Amazon agency called eCommerceville where we work with over 20 brands and we scale them to the moon. So hopefully you're next. Now today, as I mentioned, I want to talk about the lessons we've learned from selling and being around for these years. First thing, and probably one of the things that people miss the most, is product is first. If you don't have a good product, you're already starting on the back foot. Product first, everything else after. Because if you have a bad product, but your listing is great and your PPC is great, you might get some sales, but in the long term, you're not going to do well. If you want to exit your business, if you want to scale to a certain level, if you want to become an Amazon bestseller, or if you want to become big on Amazon, then go Shopify, eBay, and TikTok shop, you really, in my opinion, have to have a product that is great. Any good business or high-level business I've seen in the Amazon space and e-commerce, they start with product first. And I'm even talking about reselling because it's not just about private label. If you're a reseller, you still need to source products that are great. You need to do brand direct with products that are good because if they're not, your sales are going to suffer. So these lessons are not just about private labels. We work with our clients in the agency are mostly private label guys, people that have their own brand, but we also have some bundle guys, some people that do a hybrid between private label and reselling, and they apply 100% for both. We've resold, we've done private label, we've done pretty much everything, we've done bundles. Something you guys probably know if you're in the game already, Amazon is always changing. Do not expect Amazon to be the same. Amazon is like real life and business. Business always changes, so does Amazon. So be ready. I'll always try to increase margins and always try to be as competitive as possible. Another thing that is super important to mention is there is no right business model. So if you're planning to do private label, in my opinion, that's amazing and probably has the biggest upside when it comes to exit and building a brand outside of Amazon. But reselling, it's huge as well. Have huge resellers. Think about it. Tesco is mostly a reseller. Yeah, he doesn't really do e-commerce. They have their website, which kills it, but they're not a traditional e-commerce business. But there's no right model. It's all about what you're better at, what your edges are, and can you compete in that market? And that's what I've seen. I know people who are reselling and doing great, and I know people who have private labels and doing great. There's no right or wrong in this space. Another thing that is super important in my opinion is learn a niche, stick with it, and understand it, become an expert in it. For example, let's take the health and beauty niche. It's a big category, it's a big niche, but understand the niche extremely well. Understand what people in that niche like, want, and are looking for. Because if you understand what people in that niche are wanting, it's much easier to sell products that you understand the niche and the buyer. Remember, we're selling to buyers. A lot of people look at the data, and data is great, but you need to use common sense and what the customers actually want. Another thing that I've seen, and it hurts a lot of sellers and business owners, is don't follow the herd. Meaning, don't follow what everyone is saying. Online arbitrage is the next thing. This type of private label is the next thing. Bundling is the next thing. Doing this type of private label is the next thing. It usually never is. Stick with one thing that you're good at, concentrate on that, and just don't let any other noise get into. Because if you want to really scale a business, especially in e-commerce, but any type of business, if you really want to scale your e-commerce business, your Amazon account to a big and high level, it will be a lot of time to dedicate and a lot of focus. So try to ignore almost everything that you hear. Most advice are bad anyway. Don't delegate too fast. I see this happening all the time. In my opinion, if you're selling on Amazon or e-commerce, you need to understand your product extremely well. You need to be the guy that understands the product extremely well. If you understand the product, and ideally you want to understand the stock part, you want to understand the cash flow part, you want to understand them. You don't need to be an expert in them. In my opinion, you need to be an expert in understanding what a good product is and how to sell it and where to sell it. If you're good at that, you'll be doing very well in e-commerce, in my opinion. So don't delegate those tasks right away. Like, understand them first and then start delegating. Because if you delegate something before you even learn it, it's a recipe for a disaster. I see this happening a lot of times. If you are building a product, understand that part. You understand that part, e-commerce becomes much easier. Another common misconception I see is you need a lot of money, you need hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands to start. That is not true. Yes, you need a certain type of budget if you're doing private label, but you don't need hundreds of thousands. The more, the better, but you don't need that much money. We started with literally zero. I had an old watch, I sold it, and then we started reinvesting. Of course, reselling many times is cheaper to get in, especially platforms like eBay and even Facebook Marketplace, but you don't need a ton of money. And I do believe that if you have a ton of money to start with, it's even more detrimental because you don't understand the game. If you have 100,000 to spend, you'll probably spend them in bad deals, bad products, bad private labels because you have that access to money, but you don't have the skills. If you don't have any money and you, let's say, go from 0 to 1,000 or from 0 to 10,000, you've compounded a lot of skills and you have the mindset of bootstrapping. You didn't have any money to start with, so now you're building them. So you know you have to guard that cash and money to buy better stock and better products. Understand the relationship between stock and sales. At the end of the day, when you have either a private label or reselling, it's a stock business. If you don't have product, you cannot make sales. So understand the relationship of, if I'm making $1 million in sales, I need 400, 5,000 in stock. Understand that that is the most important, not the most important thing, but from a financial perspective, in my opinion, it's one of the most important things. If you don't understand the relation between stock and sales and cash flow, it complicates a lot. Stock, in my opinion, it's only an asset when you sell it. If you have stock stuck, it's a liability. So the key is sell as much as possible, don't get stuck. Because if you get stuck, that's cash being stuck. And cash being stuck can be detrimental to a lot of business. The final part is, most people in this space that giving you advice are not in the game and don't understand the game. So be careful who you're getting advices from. I know many people that have gotten the wrong advice from the wrong people, and it's cost them a lot of money, a lot of headache, a lot of experience. Some of them even exited the game. Some of them were like, nah, I can't do this anymore, because it left them with a bad taste in the mouth. So anyone you're getting advices from, do your due diligence. Have they been in the space? Do they have any experience selling? Just be careful who you're getting advice from. There's a lot of people who try to sell your courses, or they try to milk you for money, but they're not even great at what they do. They don't even understand what they're selling. I hope you liked the video. A lot more to come. Every Tuesday we're putting out new videos. Leave in the comments anything else you want to see, anything that you want us to get into details, and see you soon.